So, this is going to be a completely different video from my usual type of content I make. This is entirely unscripted. I did not plan any of this beforehand. I just wanted to get all of this off of my chest. So, this video is going to document my experiences with a user known as FontChan. If you know her, she's a pretty small YouTuber in the object show community anyways. Has about 380 subscribers at the time I'm making this. And if you're more familiar with Object Full, you'd know she's the person who recommended Dioptase, you know, the early boots. But aside from that, she's more known for some really disgusting things she's done in the past. So, basically, just to summarize, she's a pedophile, basically. And one time she stripped naked on voice chat, like, with her camera on, because, according to her, she gets very hot easily, so to speak. And her excuse was that people only thought she was naked because she had no shirt on. Even though there are people who very much recollect that she did, in fact, strip naked. Apparently even showed her dick, too. Yes, she's trans. So, yeah. She's very depraved. Now, on to my basic experience with her. Around the start of 2022, I remember, I think, February or so, she DM'd me and I didn't know anything she did beforehand. I think this was all before it occurred. And there, I don't even remember what we did as friends. I remember I joined her server for a bit. I did a bit of Discord topper box roleplays with her, but that's basically it in terms of that year. And then I think I remember hearing about all the shit she did, and that's when I left and kind of forgot about it all. Cut to about 2 years later, just earlier than that, in 2023, she DM'd me again on her, what I consume as the same account she once friended me on, and, because I've kind of forgot this, and there, she basically didn't do anything to me. She basically just came up to me, asked, hey, do you want to be in one of my videos? I'm doing an alphabet abridged thing, and I agreed to it. I did a single line for you, that's all I did, and, that's pretty much all that happened that year. Anyways, cut to the main point I want to talk about. 2024, this year, February 29th. That day, at approximately 4 PM, I just arrived home from school, and... Sorry, that was my phone. 29th February, 4 PM, I got home from school, was laying on my bed, doing Discord things, and there I got a friend request and realised it was from Font. I was like, oh, I remember her, and I decided to go ahead and accept her friend request. And, I got alright for, like, the first 4 messages, and that's where things kind of start getting a bit weird, basically. She started posting a lot of bubble fetish art, because that's kind of a big deal with her. She has, like, a severe bubble fetish, and even though she insists that it's just basically a little habit of hers, just like a comfort thing, it's very obviously a fetish. Like a very, very big fetish. And I did kind of get suspicious of it. Like, I didn't know it was a fetish at first, just got suspicious. Then she asked me to draw a bubble fetish art of Taco from Balfour Dream Island, and it's basically just, like, her type of interest. She's in a bubble, shit like that. All that. And then, later that exact same day, this is kind of where it starts to get a bit bad on my personal end of the spectrum. If you're familiar with Puyo Puyo, you probably know about Echolo, the guy that basically is a trickster, he's a ghost, basically menaces society, all that shit. So there, she dared me to basically write a Puyo Puyo bubble fetish story where Eklo goes around trapping characters in different types of bubbles. And I just want to keep in mind, she did not convince me, she did not at all manipulate me into doing this. I personally chose to go ahead and write the story for her, because I trusted her a lot, and I forgot about all the shit she did. I didn't know about it, and that's where it got bad on my end, because, you know, she basically used my trust against me to get me to write a bubble fetish story to basically please her fetish. So cut to like 2 months later, May 6th, 6 p.m. I was DMing with my real life friends, and that's when I told her about the whole story. I was like, hey, Font told me to write a bubble fetish story even though I didn't want to. And this is where it gets bad on my end, because I said in the DMs that she forced me to write even though I didn't want to. Even though in the images I previously shown, I very willingly accepted to do the story for her. And that's when he told me that she too wanted to get him to write a story with some skill-based boss fights characters, you know, the Roblox with Perk Alpha and Kazar, and herself in there as well. He didn't actually end up writing the story, he stalled her. I wrote a bit of my story, but I just stopped after the first chapter because I didn't want to do it, and then she forgot about it all. Like, I'm just getting all of this off of my Twitter thread I made about my experience with Font, and this is just where it gets a bit unscripted. Just forget. You know, this is about FontChan, this is about the video itself. Yeah. Now, I want to say Font groomed me into doing this. I genuinely do. But I think it's clear that even though I willingly let myself do it, she guilt-tripped me and my friend into convincing her that she's changed. Also, she could get us to engage in a bubble fetish. It's either one, but calling it grooming just feels way too extreme, so it's just guilt-tripping in my eyes, you know? So I think the worst part about the whole thing in general is that, you know, I'm not the first to be manipulated by her. You know, there's been people before me. I've basically just been her latest victim with my friend, you know? That's bad. Very bad. I mean, the worst part about it is that she's posting her bubble fetish art in servers that when a majority of the people are under the age of 18, you know, that's concerning, because it can just get to the point where she starts manipulating more and more people to get engaged in her fetish so she can get pleased by it. Like, I'm not saying it's something she pleasures herself to, but, you know, it wouldn't be really that surprising if she did. And, you know, I want to point out an example here. Swaggy Vortex 733, who rest in peace, by the way. She and multiple of her friends got guilt-tripped into working with her. But thing is, I just want to read an excerpt of one of Swaggy's comments. She apparently claims to have changed, but the said stripping and throwing a tantrum doesn't count as such. I called her ass out in Nova's stream before she turned on her cam and acted like a baby. I also couldn't believe she lied about being 13. I had blacklisted her from my Discord server, and I had warned a few people about her behaviour. Then in another one of her comments, Swaggy claimed that Font lied about being 13 when she's about 18 now. So, I think if I remember, I remember something about Font saying she had the mental age of a child. Like I think that's why she does all this shit. She's basically just completely mentally ill. It's probably why she did all the things she did, you know, the stripping, the pedophilia, and she also abused her cat too. I probably need to mention that, because, animal abuse, that's really concerning. No, and the thing is, I feel some sympathy for Font. I genuinely do. I was in a similar position. Just for a bit of context, I basically leaked a lot of stuff about the FNF mod Broken Strings, the Pibby mod about puppets, and that caused the 6 Feet Under song to get released way earlier than initially planned. And, that's where it comes in. I felt bad for Font, because she's in a similar position to what I was in, back last year and so. But, and I was in a similar position earlier this year, because if you know me from my account, Waday, you'd know that I made a thread where I defended Taylor Grodin, which was obviously very bad on my end, because I basically didn't know all the events of the situation with Lauren, and just assumed Taylor got fired for too much fan backlash. But, obviously none of that takes away to the fact that Font's a disgusting person in general, and I happen to be a victim of her things. And plus, unlike her, I've been able to move on from what she's done, I've bettered myself, I've changed, I've become a much better person than I once was, I've made amends with the whole Broken Strings Discord community, I'm just doing way better than I used to be. Got to the point where I nearly wanted to take my own life, But the issue with Font is that she's never going to be able to move on from this stuff, She's a disgusting person, she's done a lot of horrible shit, Stuff that you can't just let get forgotten and then just move on like nothing happened, Font's trying to act like she can just move on and then everyone's going to magically forget that what she did was, shit. Whatever excuse she has to do them, and regardless of her mental age, she chose to do those things. And stuff like that can't be forgiven, She dating minors, she's stripped naked, she's posting bubble fetish art in servers with minors in them. All that shit is something you can't just forgive and forget, She has to realise one day that people aren't going to let her forget what she did. It's wrong. Font, it's just something Font can't seem to understand, she can't comprehend that people just can't forget what she did was wrong. And that's... I think it's just more wrong that there are people who are still openly friends with her and defending her, because I don't know if it's they're just genuine friends with her, or they got guilt-tripped, or basically just another victims of her guilt-tripping, I mean, it's clear from mine and many others' experiences that she's never going to change. She's just going to still be the piece of shit she was. She's going to be doing the same things over and over and over again, just assume people are just going to forget what she did. But you can't. Like I said, you can't forget any of that shit. You can't forget stuff like objectifying a cat and trying to abuse it. You can't do that stuff. All of it's wrong. It's just disgusting, And that's what upsets me about it, Font's a terrible person. She deserves to be blacklisted from the OSC, and I know this is going to sound foul, but she doesn't deserve having friends who still like her. She's a mentally ill person who's refusing to accept that actions have consequences and is trying to believe that everyone's going to forget what she did, move on, and you can't forget any of that. It's mostly on her end. She keeps bringing up the drama on a usual basis because people keep calling her out for the shit she did, and her issue there is that she keeps acknowledging what people say. She's not ignoring it. If she's genuinely trying to move on, why is she still interacting with people who call her out for what she's done? So, that's kind of all I have, That's basically all I have to say about my experience with fonts. I highly recommend you go read Virtual and Young Katz's The Font document. I'll link that in the description below, and that's basically, detailing everything there is to font. And I'll also link my Twitter thread if you want to see it. You know, I'll show that off in the description down below. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this 50-minute video about my experience with clearly mentally depraved person, and I'll see you whenever I make another video. Subscribe and peace.